Elden Ring has some of the coolest characters in any video game I've ever played. And one of the coolest characters is Vyke. I mean, he's literally on the front cover image. Vyke has really cool lore, and if you read right here, he was the closest tarnished to becoming Elden Lord. So my question was, could he? Could Vyke become the Elden Lord? Could you beat the game using the equipment he used? Most people know the answer is yes. Elden Ring has been completed with way harder challenges. But this is my second video I've made, and I thought the cosplay idea was super cool. Vyke can be seen in two places. First in the Church of Inhibition. Later, you can find him in an Evergale on the mountaintops of the Giants. We see him use Flame of Frenzy, Howl of Shabriri, Frenzied Burst, Lightning Strike, Fortisax's Lightning Spear, and also Vyke's Grateful. Unfortunately, that won't work with Vyke's War Spear because it's a colossal weapon. I can also equip Vyke's armor and any seal in the game. First thing I did was grab the Flame of Frenzy. After I immediately grabbed Howl of Shabriri. Now I was ready to fight Vyke. Okay, maybe not. Turns out you can cheese almost any open world NPC fight because they will follow you everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Perfect, now we have our first and only weapon. It deals pretty solid damage considering it has fire damage applied. However, this weapon is definitely more favored in PvP rather than boss fights. In order to get runes, I choose the Knight's Cavalry boss in Caelid. With these runes, I can get my Vyke's War Spear leveled up pretty high. Now it's time for the first main boss of the game, Margit. And after playing for a while, I expected him to be easy. And for the most part, he was. However, I'm playing with a glass cannon build. A glass cannon build is when you deal a good amount of damage, but you die in 1 or 2 hits if you're lucky. I have never done this before. I usually prefer to tank more hits and deal less damage as a sacrifice. For the first few bosses, you'll see me get used to this change. But after a few attempts, Margit was defeated. Next was Godrick. This fight was easier than Margit. He may have more health, but his attacks are extremely scripted and easier to dodge. I want to take the time to say something that I'm pretty sad to admit. This is my first time playing a full Elden Ring run without using summons. I've just loved them as a feature, and I never thought not to use them until I thought of this cosplay run. Since this cosplay run gave me access to some pretty decent items, I decided that they shouldn't be allowed. And fighting without summons was challenging, but it made the game 10 times more fun. I seriously recommend it. Godrick down. Before progressing further through the game, I went to get the Frenzied Burst incantation and activate Godrick's Great Rune. Before killing Rennala, I had to kill the Red Wolf of Radagon. This is a prime example of a glass cannon fight between both the enemy and the player. Both of us have hardly any health, but we both do massive damage. And since I could heal, trading health benefited me greatly. After doing that for a while and taking more damage than I probably should have, I was able to get the hang of it, and the boss was dead. Rennala's first phase is super easy. Just kill a few enemies, drain her health bar, and you're done. Her second phase is where the real fight starts. Her magic is super overwhelming when you do not have a lot of armor equipped. Overall, her fight is kind of challenging. Sometimes I would die to stupid attacks like this one. Sometimes random things like this would happen, but honestly, it's more funny rather than frustrating. After a few attempts, I was able to kill her. It was time to kill the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Okay, maybe leveling up wouldn't hurt. I killed Commander O'Neill to progress Millicent's questline so I could get the Dexterity Talesman. He was pretty easy to kill on horseback and straightforward. Got my Talesman, and after I grabbed the Strength Talesman because both Dexterity and Strength are the highest stats for Vyke's War Spear. I also killed the Putrid Tree Avatar to get the Frame Shroud and Crack Cure, because Vyke's Spear does fire damage. Lastly, I fought Loretta to progress Randy's questline. I had to progress her questline to progress Fia's questline. If I got Fia's questline completed, then I could get Fortisax's Lightning Spear, which was one of the incantations that Vyke used. And Loretta was a pretty easy fight. This is where I was able to start Randy's questline. Now with my preparation, I can fight the Draconic Tree Sentinel. I think this is a weird boss. In the beginning, I did lots of damage, but that was only because you could get a few free hits. And after that, I could only find one opening, and I did very little damage. So I just continued the process for about 10 minutes straight until his health bar was drained. Enjoy watching me do the same little attack over and over again. Before I could fight Morgott, I had to fight the ghost version of Godfrey. Considering they slowed down Godfrey's attacks here compared to the real fight, it took a few hits before I understood his attack patterns. Lucky for me, I did incredible damage to him with my jump attack. I mostly traded health and found some punishable moments during the fight. Yeah, after a short duration, he was defeated. Morgott did not take many attempts, however the first one, as you can see here, wasn't going so smooth. It just took me a try or two to master his movement. I had a plan: dodge his jump attack and use mine. Pretty simple. He definitely uses less jump attacks in his second phase, but the easy solution is to just be patient and dodge his other attacks, which isn't too hard to do. After waiting for that attack a few times and dealing generous damage, Morgott was defeated by Vyke himself. Okay. Just as a joke and for lore purposes, I spoke to Shabriri because he's the character that lures Vyke down into the Flame of Frenzy. And listening to that guy he's actually terrifying. In all fairness, it's pretty cool to watch Vyke listen to Shabriri, only because that's what actually happens in the story, but just listen to this guy.
He gave it to me. Shabriri, I hope you can make your peace with that. You were about to sacrifice something precious, the life of a fair maiden, that you would toss into the fiery forge, only so that you may be lord. What a horrible thing to ponder. Your ascendancy requires her sacrifice, whether she wishes it or not. But how would the Lord, crowned so, be looked upon? Chosen, tarnished, and would-be Lord, dare to tread the path of the Lord of Chaos. Burn the earth tree to the ground and incinerate all that divides and distinguishes. May chaos take the world. May chaos take the world.
Before moving on, I had to kill the real Vyke, the second encounter at the Evergale. Surprisingly, this guy is seriously tough if you expect nothing. It seems like he has no HP, but he can heal, making him have more than it appears. I tried using Howl Shabriri to give madness, but that didn't work well. Instead, I used it before the fight to give myself a buff and do even more damage. And since Vyke's War Spear is such a good weapon in PvP or NPC fights, Vyke was killed pretty quickly with it. Now I'm officially the real Vyke. I also wanted to say that I grabbed the Lightning Strike incantation, but unfortunately forgot to record it. At least I look cool in my armor. To progress Randy's questline, in order to progress Thea's questline, like I mentioned, I had to kill Radahn. Luckily, I'm pretty overleveled for this fight, and I actually forgot to do it earlier. I tried to fight him off horseback, which I'd never done before, and it didn't go so well. I just wasn't used to fighting him off my horse, and so for his second phase, I got on my horseback. Other than dodging some predictable attacks, I find this boss very easy. Yeah, Radon down. Okay, so this is embarrassing to admit, but Fire Giant is probably the hardest boss besides Malekith for me. The thing is, Malekith is actually enjoyable to fight. You can see me performing horrible here. I was only holding the spear with one hand because I was using my incantations on the boss, but they hardly did any damage. Fire Giant is such a cool boss, but after fighting this guy at least 20 different times, he just gets so boring. I don't have much else to say here, but you can at least watch me beat phase 2. I mean, I died a lot though. And then after dying again, I finally realized I could rebuff in the middle of the fight, making phase 2 a lot easier. Finally, Fire Giant was over. Just a quick side note, I started Hayata's questline in order to get the Frenzied Seal later on. I had only fought this variant of Mohg one time before, and I had to kill him if I wanted to get the Flame of Frenzy ending, and access to Deep Root Depths. I decided to take some armor off in order to get Light Roll, because the attacks were very fast. I was able to trade some health, and then get a stagger. I just repeated the process. Towards the end I put my armor on just because I had traded so much health and I was out of flasks and water protection. I was definitely shaking when I got here, but luckily for me, I killed Mohg in just a few tries. I did some of the hardest parkour in any Souls game, and then I got the Flame of Frenzy for the ending just because it fits Vyke. I grabbed the Frenzied Flame, and finally I burned the Earth Tree down. Before going to Farum Azula, I used the secret passage to get access to Deep Root Depths. This is why I progressed Randy's questline. It let me get the Cursed Mark of Death. First, before Fortisax, I had to kill Fia's champions. And this fight is absolutely hilarious when you're overleveled, or even underleveled. And considering Vyke's War Spear is so good at PvP, just watch this. Now for the actual challenge, Fortisax. This is another boss I've only fought once, and that's really only because it's very hard to actually get to the location for this boss. When I fought her, I had a summon, so this was going to be interesting. Luckily for us, Fortisax has very little health. I believe I died only once or twice. But I honestly didn't realize how awesome this boss is. I used mostly charged heavy attacks while rolling here and there to dodge the tracked lightning. And yeah, Fortisax is an amazing, super cool fight. And when I killed this boss, I got our last incantation. Before moving on, I grabbed the Gravelstone Seal, just because it boosts lightning incantations. This and the Frenzied Seal were perfect for Vyke's incantations. In most recordings, I hardly used these because they suck on strength builds during the later game, but it was still nice to have them and it made the cosplay complete. I grabbed the Sleep Pot Cookbook. And now it's time for everyone's favorite boss, Godskin Duo. Now, you may disagree, but with Sleep Pots, I believe this is an extremely easy fight. I beat these two on either my first or second try, I don't even remember. Just use Sleep to stagger them and you have a really clean fight. Sit back and enjoy this one. Before fighting Malekith, I grabbed the Dragon Crest Shield Talesman +2 just for some extra protection. Yeah, Malekith is definitely one of those bosses that I love, but I also hate so freaking much, dude. I really enjoyed the second phase of this boss, but the first sucks because it's really hard to find openings. I traded health a lot until the second phase. I love the second phase, it's amazing in my opinion. I know his moveset really well. I know you can see me taking every single hit, but I was really tired while fighting him, and I didn't think at the time that I'd kill him that night, so I was just kind of having fun. But after finally dodging some attacks and trading health, I was able to get him. Another NPC fight. I think we all knew Gideon would be a joke. But something really funny actually happened here. I used Howlish Abriri for a buff right before the fight, and because of that my madness meter grew, causing both of us to get inflicted with madness and scream in harmony. It was pretty hilarious. As expected though, Gideon died really easily. I had not fought Godfrey in a long time, so you might see me tank a few hits here and there. But I love this fight. I took lots of damage on the first phase. A lot of people actually think the first phase is harder compared to the second one, but you can find a lot of openings. For this fight, don't blame me, I was just using my heavy jump attack to get a stagger. And I don't know how, but I only got one for the entire fight. It ended up being fine though. I died a few times during the second phase, but after trading some health and finding some openings, I was able to kill him. It didn't take too long. This is definitely one of the harder bosses in the game. And there's nothing for me to say in the last fight, just enjoy Vyke becoming Elden Lord. Overall, I had a great time making this video. I love Vyke. I love his lore. It's tragic. I started working on my second video, in which I'm going to beat Elden Ring as another one of my favorite characters, Yuri, or you might know him as Shabriri. As of now, I have 44 subscribers, so I want to thank all you guys for the support. I'll see you in the next one.